Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest This is the Music Meets podcast. For episode 79, I'm delighted that Welsh solo star and future festival headliner Megan Wen is the latest guest on the podcast. Over the course of today's episode, we're going to look back on Megan's festival appearances this summer, her debut single, You Don't Get It, plus her involvement in the launch of the Everton's FC's away shirt for the current football season. Megan, a very warm welcome to you. Thanks very much for coming on the This is the Music Meets podcast. How are you doing today?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, we were just saying off air there that try not to melt in this sort of mini heat wave that we seem to have acquired. But yeah, I guess can't complain too much, really.
Yeah, it's like Spain in here, isn't it? It's somehow come back for round two.
Yeah,
The
that's it. Yeah,
Brits are all
well,
with no aircon.
yeah, that is always a bit of a non-plu thing here, isn't it, with us with no aircon particularly. But yeah, I guess
Yeah.
we couldn't complain. It's not as hot as what we had last summer, but yeah, hey ho.
Yeah, I mean it decided to go away from festivals and then now it's back that I've got to work inside. So oh well.
That's always the way.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
100%.
hopefully next year. I'm sure you'll be at the festival next year. That it will be, a nice sunny experience rather than the damp squib that we've had this year. But talking of festivals, obviously you've had a really busy and fun few months, to be honest. So let's have a little chat first of all about the festivals that you've played at this year. You've obviously, or so far, I should say. But obviously, you've been at Golden Touch Festival and obviously Truck Festival as well. So, kind of like, how was the festival experience for you? Because, I mean, from the videos that I've seen, that people have posted of your sets up on social media, it looks like you had a great time.
Yeah, it was, they were amazing. Like Truck Festival is definitely one of my favorite gigs we've ever played. And obviously I played a few festivals last year, but it was just me and my guitar, just
Yeah,
acoustically. And I played Truck last year as well. And yeah, just like getting to go back and play the tunes with a full band and yeah, just kind of getting to showcase like my music as you'd hear them on record was really nice to share. And seeing the crowd just grow as well was just mental. I was so nervous walking on because I was like, oh God, is it going to be, quieter than last year? That's going to be really embarrassing.
yeah,
And I was
sure.
stressing a bit. And yeah, and I walked out and everyone was chanting my name, and I was like, oh my God, this is mental. And yeah, it was nuts and really fun. And yeah, I hope every gig's like that gig. And Golden Touch, that was amazing as well. It was my first time in Portsmouth actually. So I didn't really know what to expect, but the room was packed out and people were dancing and singing along, and yeah, it was a great crowd. So
Brilliant, fantastic to hear. And you're saying there, obviously, like compared to last year where it was just you and your acoustic guitar, did that kind of like then with having the band this year, did that then sort of change the whole kind of like, I guess like atmosphere within the tent and for you personally as well being up on stage?
yeah, 100%. I mean, it's like having a band behind me allows me to kind of perform more because I'm not
Yeah,
kind of restricted to, you know, playing guitar in one spot. And yeah, I mean, it's like I play some songs now without the guitar, and I get to kind of be who I've always wanted to be as a performer. And
right, okay.
yeah, I get to engage more with the crowd and stuff, and it's so much more fun. And obviously, it's a lot of noise, but yeah, I love it. It's very different, but I mean, I love playing acoustically as well. I always will, but yeah, it's very fun, and I think the energy is just like through the roof, really. Like when you've got a full band, because you can kind of there's no periods in the set where there's like that awkward silence that you get when you're tuning your acoustic guitar. And I have to try and make like awkward small talk and
Yeah.
try and make everyone laugh, and I've got like the worst dad jokes ever. So I think everyone's glad that they're gone out of the set. So yeah.
So do you think then that you would maybe like consider in the future maybe like going like maybe like just the odd gig here and there type of thing, but maybe doing like one-off acoustic shows in the future? Or do you think like the having a band with you now is kind of like, sort of set in stone for sort of, the foreseeable sort of, I don't know, like 12 months or something like that type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have played one or two shows just acoustically. It's kind of nice to have that option. Like if I wanted to do
Yeah,
acoustic, I still can, but if I wanted to do full band, then obviously I can do that as well. I think having that option is really nice, and I think the tunes work well with the band and acoustically as well. So I definitely will, but I think like headline shows and stuff, unless it's like an intimate
yeah.
like in-store thing. I think I will be doing a full band thing, but I do also I'm not, closed-minded to not playing acoustically ever again because I
Yeah.
definitely will be doing.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, it certainly sounds like it's really exciting times, and obviously that sort of continued, I guess, quite recently as well. Obviously, just what was about 3 weeks ago, I think now roughly. Obviously your debut single, "You Don't Get It," came out, and of course that was premiered on the day of release on John Kennedy's Exposure show. So maybe for those that maybe haven't heard it, can you maybe just tell us like a little bit about the song, and also as well, how did you feel when you found out that John was obviously going to play it on his show, or give it his radio premiere, I should say first?
So it's actually one of the most personal songs I've ever written. And it's a song that means a lot to me. I wrote it last year with my producer, Alex Quinn. It's kind of like it was one of the first songs I kind of co-wrote with someone. And I'd been trying to write it for like a year probably. And it's about me moving away from Anglesey to Manchester, a much bigger city, and
Yeah,
kind of coming to terms with like the unexpected, weird new feelings that I was feeling that I just didn't know how to process them. So it's kind of about that. And yeah, it's so the hook of the chorus is you don't get it because you never have. And that's kind of me talking to myself. It's like you've not been able to write this song because never like you've never been through these feelings before. So
yeah,
you've never understood them before kind of thing. And yeah, yeah, so I went into the studio and was like, oh, I've got this little chorus and maybe we should work on that. And he was like, yes, absolutely. And then what was like the nice part about this was I obviously I had to tell him what the song is about, which I hate doing anyway. um, but and then he was like, oh, I've been through that. And it was like, oh, that was, such a weird
yeah,
moment for me. And I was like, it once, he said that he'd been through like a similar thing, it kind of I was kind of more determined to write it then because I was like, oh well, it starts a conversation kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of what it's about. It's yeah, just me feeling homesick and stuff.
yeah.
And then John Kennedy, he watched my set at Truck and he was second row and I could see him recording on his phone and it made me really nervous. I kept turning to my guitarist and we were just both looking at each other like, oh my God, John Kennedy's like right in the front recording. But he's lovely. And yeah, and then he said after about doing some stuff with Radio X and stuff. And yeah, and then I sent him the tune like a few days later, and he asked then if he could premiere it, and yeah, it was buzzing. 'Cause
Yeah.
I listened to a show anyway, so it was kind of great to be on there, and yeah, for him to like it as much as he does. So
Yeah,
buzzing.
sure, definitely, definitely, and obviously, I guess kind of like maybe a bit of a bucket list moment as well, getting a song on his show because obviously, as you say, the volume of music and the amount of music that he gets on his show, and obviously exposes bands. He's obviously an artist, obviously as well. Is fantastic, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great what he does, and um yeah, it's it was mad. Like it's quite hard to get radio players and independent artists.
Yeah.
So the fact that he like the majority of his show is all independent, unsigned
Hmm.
artists, and the fact that there is someone like that that has such a big platform and is, sharing new music and stuff like that is really great of him, and very grateful.
Brilliant. And sort of just moving away a little bit, sort of going back past the summer. I think it was about sort of March, April time. You did your sort of, I think about 5 or 6 dates across the country. Kind of like the first time being out with a band as well, on tour. So kind of like, how was the tour for you? And obviously, I think you visited a couple of different cities as well that maybe you haven't necessarily been to before.
Yeah, it was mental. I mean, it was definitely like eye-opening because I've done like tours like that before, but it, just myself.
Yeah.
So having to share like a van or a car with like 3 boys was definitely an experience. But it was great, and yeah, it was definitely a bonding experience. And but the crowds are just amazing. We started off in Stockton, and I'd played there once or twice before, I think something like that. At like Stockton Calling and Monroe Festival. Oh yes, twice. And the crowds have always been great, and it was great, and it's kind of scary going to a city that you've not really played shows at, just festivals.
Yeah.
Because obviously when it's a festival, people are buying tickets like the festival, not just like one person or
Hmm.
whatever. So it was great to see so many people down there, and I think it was like a Thursday night or something like that as well. So it wasn't even a weekend. So it was great that people came down for it, and it was boss. And then the night after that, we had a sold out show in Manchester, which was great.
Yeah. Home
It's kind of
turf
the
as
first
well,
time.
type of thing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it kind of felt like a hometown thing. And then my band are from Manchester as well, so it probably felt like we were coming home. It was nice. It was kind of the first time I'd heard like a full crowd singing along to the songs, and sometimes I see like 1 or 2 people singing along, but I remember I sang a song of mine called Better of You, and in the first like opening line, everyone just started singing it, and I was like, whoa, that's mad. It was really great, and the stage was tiny, and I kept falling off. Um, but other than that, it was great. And then we played Nottingham, which was great as well. And then London, which was one of my favorite gigs. And then we finished off in Cambridge, I want to
Hmm.
say, I think.
It's getting a bit hazy
Um,
by that point. The after parties were.
yeah, we were all dead by that point. We, had enough of KFC and
Yeah.
sleeping in like the sweatiest car you've ever seen in your life. And yeah, it was not very glamorous. Um, but yeah, that was great as well. And I really didn't know what to expect with that one because I'd literally never even been to Cambridge before. So I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I didn't even know what the music scene down there was like. So, but it was packed. It was one of the busiest gigs, really. And it was a much bigger capacity than like London and Nottingham we'd done like the few days before.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was great. It was a nice surprise, and everyone was well into it. And yeah, so hopefully I'll go back there sometime soon.
Brilliant, great stuff. Well, it sounds like the tour was fantastic. Unfortunately, I was meant to go to London, but didn't. I think I turned up just as you finished playing on that night. I had train issues, which wouldn't surprise too
Oh,
many people
yeah,
know. So I was a bit gutted, but hey, maybe next time.
doesn't matter. Next time. Thank you,
That's
though.
it. So let's go back right to the very, very beginning. Um, to your sort of like earliest musical memories, can you maybe like remember either like a particular song or maybe like a band that sort of stuck with you and kind of like maybe influenced you in getting into music?
Well, to be honest, like my whole childhood is just like filled with like music memories. Like both
Yeah.
of my parents are massive music lovers, so I rarely remember like watching telly when I was a kid. It was always like, records on the radio. Um, yeah, like CDs. I used to collect CDs when I was a kid. It was like my favorite thing to do,
Yeah.
go to H&B and spend all my money there. Um, Proper geek, but you know.
No,
But
not
yeah,
at all.
yeah, honestly, I still have them all and I'm attached to them. I can't sell them or anything. Um, I remember loving Nirvana when I was a baby.
Yeah.
My dad used to play that MTV Unplugged session like all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's
Classic.
to the point now where like I know like the dialogue he says in between the songs. Like it's that bad. I could recite the whole gig if I wanted to. But yeah, I went to watch McFly when I was 6, and that was my first gig. And then since then, my mum always took me to gigs. Like I think I went to like at least 12 a year, which was just mental, and
Yeah.
I loved it. And it was definitely my favorite thing to do when I was a kid. And every Christmas and every birthdays, I'd always ask for like gig tickets, and yeah, and my mum would take me, and she still takes me to gigs now. So
Yeah. Yeah. No.
some things never change. But yeah, I played with Mac for like my first favorite band.
Yeah.
Um, I remember just I remember actually watching MTV, and one of their music videos came on telly, and like my parents played them all the time in the house, so I knew the music, but I'd never seen them as kind of like a band before, and I was just blown away that it like this cool front woman was just like, I don't know, I thought she was like the queen or something. She was like, I remember just being mesmerized by her. I loved her, and then Christine as well. I just loved both of them so much, and it made me want to wear all kind of hippie clothing. But yeah, I loved it. And then my first kind of, well, actually, I've got two first favorite songs. One of them's slightly cooler than the other. So my first like proper one, which I don't like to tell people, was Hey There Delilah by Plain White Tees.
Okay. Right.
Don't know why, but and then my second one, which is way cooler, was Tumbling Dice by Rolling Stones. And I actually got it tattooed, not that you can properly see it. But
Yeah.
yeah, bang out, and it's one of my favorite songs to this day.
Oh well, yeah, definitely the tumbling dice is a very cool first
Yeah.
song to so kind of like then at what point did obviously it sounds like you've had quite a big musical sort of upbringing type of thing. So then at what point then did you start picking up the guitar and eventually progressing on and writing songs?
I actually didn't pick up the guitar till lockdown.
Right,
So
right.
quite
Wow. I
recently.
didn't. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I literally I've always sung though, like I've sung since I was a baby. I trained in opera when I was like 11, 12. And I've always written, like writing was like my first love kind of thing.
Right.
I've always loved writing, just anything to be honest. And then when I was, in my early teenage years, I started writing poetry a lot and getting proper into it, like Patti Smith, Dylan Thomas, like all of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it came obsessed with it. And then I was really bored in lockdown. I was like, I worked in a bakery and I got like my first kind of wage. So I was like, right, I'm gonna buy a guitar, and it's actually this one that you can, I don't know if
Still
you can see it.
hissed. Wow.
White acoustic one, and I've still got it, obviously. But yeah, and then I just kind of started teaching myself, and I had a few lessons, like 4 or 5, but then we went into proper lockdown. So yeah, and then I always knew I kind of wanted to make like indie rock music because it's
Yeah.
what I've listened to since I was a kid. But I don't know why I just never picked up with the guitar. I like dabbled in piano and like other instruments and stuff, and I can read music. And but yeah, it took me ages to pick up a guitar. And then when I did, I was like, why have I never played this before? So yeah, now I can't put one down. So
Wow, wow. Yeah, generally had no idea. That's generally, well, I hope you saw from my reaction, that's generally blown me away. So yeah, and really interesting as well. So obviously, as you said at the top of the show, you're obviously from Anglesey, in Wales. You're obviously currently in Manchester. Do you ever miss home, or are you pretty really happy where you are?
yeah, I mean, at the start, which is what the song's about, it's like me not being able to settle in
Yeah.
Manchester and stuff. No, I don't know. I miss bits of it, but I like the kind of pace of life here and the music scene, and I'm definitely more inspired here than I was on Anglesey. But I do miss the beach and my family, my friends, and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Maybe I'll wait till I'm retired to move back. uh, but I do love it, and it's definitely one of my favorite places ever. And it will always be home. So
There you
yeah,
go. One
but
day.
I'll probably stay in the city for a while.
Okay, so sort of continuing with the sort of kind of like home type of theme here. So let's have a little conversation about football. Obviously you're an Everton supporter. So how
Yeah.
did that come about?
My dad's a massive Evertonian, and I had absolutely no choice in the matter except to support Everton. So that's it, really. I was forced, but I love it. So yeah, I'm pretty sure like one of the first things I ever wore was an Everton baby grow, and um, my younger brother, he's the same. He was,
in
Everton fan. Doesn't matter what.
yeah,
So
sure. Yeah.
yeah, it was fully fully forced, but oh well. And my older brother's a Liverpool fan, so you can
He
imagine
got
Derby Day was a massive thing in our house.
yeah, the black sheep of the family then.
Yeah.
And obviously continuing there with Everton, obviously for those that maybe aren't aware, obviously you were involved in the kit launch for this season's away kit. It looked like you had a lot of fun. What was the experience like for you? And I guess would you want to get involved in something like that again in the future?
I mean, I loved it. I remember my manager got the email, and he just texted me and was like, "Oh, Everton want you to be in the campaign, by the way. Like, do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, obviously." Like, that was so chill. And I was like, I rang my dad and I was like, "Oh, I'm doing the away kit campaign for Everton." And he was like, "Are you? Why?" I was like, "Okay, thanks." um, but I guess it was kind of because they haven't done any like music thing before. So yeah, it was very cool to be a part of it. And um yeah, there's Suzu, Spin, and loads of people, loads of really cool people involved in it. And yeah, to be part of that kind of campaign was mental, and it was so hard to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't allowed to tell anyone, obviously. So um yeah, it was mad, but it was so cool. We started shooting at like 5 a.m. in the middle of Liverpool, and because obviously we were shooting it like around Liverpool, we couldn't like risk the kit getting like
Yeah, leaked. Yeah, sure.
leaked. Yeah, that's the word. So yeah, we had to do it like early hours in the day, and we were at the Winslow pub opposite Goodison Park eating curry at 10 a.m., which was definitely an experience. But it was great, and the whole Everton team are lovely, and everyone that was shooting it. And yeah, I'd love to get involved with something like that again. And the response has just been mental. It's kind of gained a lot of following from it. And yeah, it's pretty cool and nice to be involved in kind of a club I've supported since I was a kid. So,
Yeah, yeah,
was
sure.
it?
I can only imagine what that would have been like, and yeah, fingers crossed. Obviously that Everton go on and have a decent season as
Oh
well.
God,
But
yeah. That's
unlike
another
last
thing, isn't it?
but that's a story for a completely different podcast than this one. So obviously, as you know, here at This Is the Music, we like to try and shine a bit of a light on unsigned bands and artists like yourself that are obviously unsigned and trying to make their way on the new music scene. So kind of like over the last sort of 12 months or so, what bands or artists have or artists I should say have caught your eye?
My God, there's loads. I always find this question really, really hard because I feel like I'm gonna miss someone that I listen to all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
It is such a
oh,
great time at
no.
the moment for British
Yeah.
love music.
Oh, it's so good, and there's so many like great bands out there at the moment that I'm just obsessed with. Tom A. Smith, I played a few shows with him before Christmas. He's great. The Kairos, they're great.
Yeah, top
I feel like I'm
band,
really
great
missing
set of
someone.
lads.
Yeah. Oh my God, why have I just come back? I'm trying to think who's signed and who's not signed as well.
It is difficult, yeah. Well, if they're not
Yeah,
if they are signed, we can chuck them in. It's all right.
yeah. Roller, Spangled, Candid, Overpass,
Yeah,
Dream Machine, they're cool.
yeah,
Oh my God, I feel like I've gone Ruby J, she's cool as well.
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm going blank here. There's loads.
No,
There's loads.
that's fine. I mean, there's some fantastic bands and artists that you've put in there, and I don't think you'll find too many people either that will be disagreeing with them, because I think that those ones there that you have mentioned are obviously right
Yeah,
at the
Dirty Blonde as
right.
well. I've been loving them at the moment.
Who was that? Sorry.
Dirty Blonde, they're
Ah,
sick.
yeah, they're great as well. Yeah, really,
Yeah,
really digging their sound as well. And yeah, as we said there at the beginning, it's obviously a fantastic time for British guitar music. So and the indie scene in general. So fingers crossed that it continues to go and keeps exploding. So yeah, hopefully it will happen for one of those in the next sort of 12 months or so.
yeah.
But also, well, you mentioned gigs there with Tom. You've obviously got 3 more gigs coming up in the next couple of months. You've got a festival in Sheffield, which I think you're going to say is Thou Knows. I'm not entirely sure. And also
I
you've got
think
your
so.
own. We'll go with that. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
And you've obviously got your own headline shows in Manchester on October the 20th and Liverpool as well on November the 3rd. For those that maybe haven't seen you live yet, what can they expect from your set?
Ooh, that's always a really hard question. A lot of energy, a lot of fun. Um, I guess you'll just have to buy a ticket and find out.
And turn up on time as well. But no, I'm sure that those gigs are going to be fantastic. Obviously, seeing you right at the very very beginning, as you know, a couple of times. So yeah, it'd be great. I'm sure to see you with a full live band set as well. So we're just going to throw a couple of quick fire questions at you now. So what is the one item that you can't live without?
Um, Probably mascara? No, that's a lie. No, I definitely could. Oh my God, why is this so hard? A pen and paper, we'll say that, so I can write. I'd be
Yeah.
lost without it. On my phone, my phone. My phone's got everything on it, so
There you go. Okay, we'll go with the phone then. Okay, so you're on a night out. What is your go-to drink of choice?
a Guinness. I'm a Guinness gal through and through, 100%.
Okay.
My co-star actually says lovely day for a Guinness.
Ah, okay. There you go. Right. Well, we've got it. We've got it now. We've got it
On
on the
brand.
diary as well. So there you go. And what do you enjoy the most about playing live?
I think just seeing people enjoy kind of enjoying my music. I'm such like a gig lover myself, so
Yeah.
seeing people kind of experience the same feelings as I do with other bands for my music, that's the best feeling ever. So definitely that.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so for a hypothetical headline show, which 3 under the radar bands or artists would you pick to support you?
Ooh, that is so hard. I'm gonna go Dirty Blonde. They have supported me. This has happened, but Dirty Blonde and Facades, I love them.
Yeah, they're great
And
as well. Yeah.
they supported me on a show a few months back. And the third one. Ooh, Locking maybe because they're just cool, well
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I just love watching Benji crowd surf. So
Yeah, he does love his crowd surfing, that boy,
he
has to be
does.
said. Brilliant, great stuff. So what then is the next for you over the course of this year? Obviously we've mentioned a couple of the gigs that you've got coming up. Is there, any plans for any more new music across the year at all?
Yes, I'll have some new music out in a few months' time actually. Well, it's actually going to be very soon. Yeah, it will come around very soon. We're literally just finishing off some stuff right now. So very, very soon. And I love this song. It's very fun. I think well, we did play it at Truck actually, and it went down really well. So hopefully it will, people will like it as well on the records. So and then we've got an EP maybe coming next year.
Cool.
Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, and then just loads of shows. I'm supporting a few people, but I don't think I can talk about that yet. But
Well, no, well, that's great.
doing that.
You can tell me afterwards. It's fine.
Yeah.
But well, obviously, I mean, it sounds like it's going to be very, very busy time for you, and clearly very, very exciting as well. But Megan, that is the end of the This Is the Music Meets podcast. Thanks very much for coming on. You've been a brilliant guest, and it was
Thanks
really
for
great
having me.
to catch up with you as well and find out exactly everything that's been going on over the last few months. But just before I do let you go, can you let the listeners know the social media platforms that they can find you on?
So all my socials is just at Megan Wynn, with a double N after Megan, one N at the end of Win. That was so confusing, sorry. But just type Megan Wynn and it will come up. So
Brilliant. Great
Welsh
stuff.
names
We
for you.
will and we will put those links in the episode bio as well, just to make it a little bit easier too. So Megan, as I say, thanks very much for coming on. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you've got coming up. It does, as I say, it does sound very, very exciting. And I wish you all the best and continued success with everything that you're doing.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And all that leaves me to say is to thank everyone for tuning in to the latest This Is the Music Meets podcast. Please subscribe so you never miss out on any future episodes. And if you're loving the podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating and written review, as it really does help the bands and artists we interview to be discovered. Thanks for listening, and I will see you again somewhere down the road.